You wake up before the alarm, before the phone, before the coffee maker hisses and the notification lights blink on. You open your eyes, and for just a second, something ancient stirs. A pull, a alertness, a scan of the room that happens faster than thought. You do this every morning. You have no idea why. But the answer is older than language itself. Roughly 300,000 years ago, a human being woke up the same way you just did. Eyes open, senses sharp, heart already running a quiet check on the world around them. Except they weren't in a bedroom. They were on the ground, inside a shallow rock overhang, surrounded by the cooling embers of last night's fire. And the first thought that crossed their mind wasn't what to eat for breakfast. It was whether anything had crept closer in the dark. This is a day in the life of that person. Not a caveman in the cartoon sense. Not the fur-clad, club-swinging brute you've seen on cereal boxes. A real human, fully modern brain, curious, funny, capable of grief, planning, and love. Someone whose inner life was almost indistinguishable from yours. The difference wasn't intelligence. It was the world they woke up into. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham at Harvard has spent decades studying the lives of early Homo sapiens and their immediate predecessors. One of his core findings is this: fire changed everything. Not just what humans ate, but when they slept, how they bonded, and how their brains developed. The fire wasn't just warmth, it was the original living room, and your ancient ancestors spent their first waking moments making sure it hadn't gone out. Dawn breaks slowly. The light comes in orange and flat before the sun clears the horizon. Your ancestor doesn't stretch lazily. They sit up, take in the air. Smell is the first sense that goes to work. Smoke, dew on grass, the faint musk of the group around them. Nothing wrong, nothing new. The scan takes about 4 seconds. Then the body relaxes by a fraction. The group is already stirring. There's no such thing as waking up alone in this world. Solitude, for a human 300,000 years ago, was not peaceful. It was dangerous. Your nervous system knows this on a level you can't talk yourself out of. It's why a quiet house can feel unsettling at 3 a.m. It's why background noise in a coffee shop makes you more productive. You were built to be surrounded by your people. Full stop. The group is small, between 20 and 50 individuals, not random strangers. This is your entire known world. Researchers studying contemporary hunter-gatherer communities, including anthropologist Kim Hill, who has worked extensively with the Ache people of Paraguay, find a consistent pattern. The core social unit is almost always this size. Small enough to know everyone personally, large enough to defend against predators and share labor. This is the group size your brain was tuned for. It is, not coincidentally, roughly the number of people you actually feel close to right now. The first real task of the morning is fire, not starting it from scratch, because that takes time and energy. Maintaining it. The embers from last night need feeding. Dry bark, small sticks, a careful breath. Watch. Wait. There it is. The flame catches. Something in your chest eases when it does. You may feel a version of this today when your car starts on the first try, or when your Wi-Fi reconnects. Same brain, different stakes. Now, food. This is where modern imagination usually goes wrong. The idea of the caveman as a lone hunter, sprinting after a mammoth with a spear, is cinematic but mostly false. The reality, drawn from archaeological evidence and fossil records, is far more collaborative and far more strategic. Most calories came not from large game, but from plants, tubers, roots, berries, nuts, seeds, things you had to know intimately, things that required memory, pattern recognition, and seasonal awareness far more sophisticated than knowing where the Whole Foods is. Your ancestor doesn't go looking for food alone. They go in a group, usually split by task. Women, in most documented hunter-gatherer societies, handled the bulk of plant gathering and contributed between 60 and 80% of the group's daily caloric intake. Men hunted, but large kills were rare. Days could pass without one. What mattered was the gathered food that was reliable, predictable, and almost always there. The walk to the foraging area is not silent. This is something the fossil record can't tell you, but behavioral ecology can. People talk. They tease each other. They share information about what they found yesterday and where. Robin Dunbar, the British anthropologist who proposed what is now called Dunbar's number, argues that human language evolved not primarily for tool-making instructions, but for social bonding, for gossip, in the deepest evolutionary sense of the word. You were built to talk about other people. Every scroll through your social feed today is that same impulse, dressed in different clothes. The foraging itself is not mindless. It is reading. Your ancestor reads the land the way you read a screen. The color of a leaf tells you about water. The angle of a bent branch tells you about recent foot traffic. The shape of disturbed soil tells you something was digging here. Every step is information processing. Researchers studying the Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last hunter-gatherer populations on Earth, find that their ecological knowledge is staggeringly precise. They carry maps of their territory in their heads. They know which trees fruit in which months. They remember where they found a beehive 2 seasons ago. By mid-morning, the group has gathered enough to be comfortable, not hoarding. There's no way to hoard in this world. No refrigerator, no pantry. Food that isn't eaten soon will rot, be stolen, or attract predators. So it gets shared, not out of moral virtue, though something like virtue does develop from this. It gets shared because reciprocity is the technology that keeps the group alive. If you give today, you eat tomorrow, even if tomorrow you find nothing. This is the original social contract. You sit and eat in the shade. Mid-afternoon in most warm climates is a natural rest period. The sun is high. The heat slows everything. The body uses this time not just for rest, but for something researchers are only beginning to fully understand: cognitive consolidation, memory sorting, social repair. This is when alliances are reinforced, grievances are aired, children play, and play is not trivial. Play is how young brains learn risk, cooperation, negotiation, and loss. Every playground game your child has ever played has roots in exactly this. Your body doesn't understand the concept of a 40-hour work week. It never has. Studies by anthropologist Marshall Salins, whose landmark work in the 1960s reframed our entire view of hunter-gatherer life, showed that these societies typically required only 3 to 5 hours of subsistence labor per day to meet their needs. The rest was rest, play, story, ritual, and connection. Salins called them the original affluent society, not wealthy in objects, wealthy in time. The afternoon is when something remarkable happens. Your ancestor does something that separates them cleanly from every other animal on the planet. They tell a story, not to entertain. Not exactly. The story has work to do. It encodes information about where the water source is, why you don't eat the red berries from the northern slope, what happens to people who break the group's trust. Stories are memory technology. They are the hard drive of a culture that has no writing, and they are told with everything: voice, gesture, expression, rhythm. The listener's brain doesn't just receive the story, it simulates it. Neuroscientist Yuri Hasson at Princeton has shown that a listener's brain activity actually synchronizes with a storyteller's brain activity during narrative. You weren't just listening, you were living it. Evening comes. The light changes, and something shifts inside you too. Not anxiety, exactly, but a tightening, an awareness. This is the time when predators move. This is the time when the world becomes unpredictable, and the response is ancient and automatic. You move toward the fire. You move toward the group. You sit closer. The fire is the center of everything at dusk. This is when the day's events get processed out loud. The successful foraging spot gets talked about. The near miss with a snake gets turned into drama, laughter, lesson. Someone does an impression of the group elder. Someone younger watches and files it away. This is culture being transmitted, live. One generation handing something irreplaceable to the next. And then the night comes. And your ancestor does not lie down peacefully. They sleep in what researchers call a segmented pattern. 2 distinct sleep phases with a quiet waking period in the middle. This is not insomnia. This is the original human sleep cycle, documented by historian Roger E. Kirch in his research into pre-industrial sleeping patterns. The middle waking is used for quiet thought, tending the fire, light conversation, sometimes intimacy. The idea that sleep is one unbroken 8-hour block is modern. It is not human. They close their eyes with the fire still going and the group within arm's reach. Tomorrow, the same scan will happen. Eyes open, air checked, embers glowing, group present. The ritual of surviving another night. You're doing it too, right now, in the apartment, in the house, in the bedroom with the blackout curtains and the white noise machine and the phone face down on the nightstand. The scan still runs. The check still happens. The ancient part of you has not been told that the predators are gone. It is still listening. That restlessness you feel at night. That pull toward people. That instinct to share food and talk and sit near warmth. That need to know where your people are. That is not weakness. That is not anxiety. That is a 300,000-year-old architecture still running inside you, doing exactly what it was built to do. You woke up before the alarm this morning, eyes open, senses sharp, scanning the room before you'd finished a single thought. Now you know why.